And good evening and welcome to the show On the Spot. My name is Patrick Kamara. Now, Uganda is termed as not free by Rights Monitor Freedom House, which noted that while the country holds regular elections, they are considered not credible, pointing out the fact that some opposition figures are jailed for what they believe is due to political reasons. And this election, they say, has not been any different in the eyes of the critics. So we'll be taking stock of the election cycle of 2026, and when we come back, let me introduce my panel. And joining me to discuss this election tonight, the concluded elections, I have four panelists. Let me introduce them. I have Mr. Ronald Kwesiga, who is the National Publicity Secretary, NRM Entrepreneurs. Ronald, thank you for joining. Good evening. We have the Deputy Secretary General of PFF, Mr. Harold Kaija. Thank you for joining us.
It's nice being here.
We have a young or youth politician, Ezra Byakutagaza. Thank you for joining us, Ezra.
Thank you very much, Kamara.
And also with us tonight, we have the Executive Director, Ushahidi Foundation Uganda, Farida Lule. Thank you for coming, Farida. Let me begin with you, who is very close to me here, Mr. Harold Kaija. I know you aspired to lead the people of Nansana municipality, but you came very short. But it's not only you who came very short. Your own party, the PFF, the People's Front for Freedom, got miserable result in this election. Even you, as PFF, are you saying that really this election was so rigged that if it had not, we would be having, by the way, you didn't even have a candidate in the presidential race. How do you even argue that this was so rigged, this was so uneven, this was so unfair, and because of that, PFF had a miserable result?
Thank you, Patrick. To define, to even ask that question presupposes that you're a foreigner in this country, and not even just a foreigner who has not been using your phone, who has been on holiday and out of your vacation. They throw in Uganda and you're here asking about what is happening. You don't need to argue about this election.
Let me paraphrase that. Yes, there could have been bottlenecks here and there. Yes, the ground could have been not leveled. Yes, there could have been some malpractices here and there. But those could not have fundamentally denied you, PFF, the opportunity to be the party in power.
Because you are not in there. But even those who are not in there, so what really happened? I was telling Farida, because she was telling me she visited Nansana, just yesterday, I was supervising an election for the division level, the last set of elections we have in this cycle. If you saw what happened in Nansana, I visited, you see Nansana, we have group polling stations, which are called polling centers. Polling center has about 20 polling stations. I went to a place called Nase, Nansana Educational Center, something of the sort. And there are about 10 polling stations. Right there when I reached there, I found that the polling agents were being put a distance from what actually the law says. So people are telling me, that group is where votes are being picked from, brought to the boxes. I was trying to pick it and then to see what to do. A drone came with masked guys in UPDF uniform. They came with two guys who they claimed had pre-ticked ballot papers, who I thought they would be taken to police. Now they are carrying them and taking them in the polling station, kind of beating them. Eventually, they chased away everybody from the polling center. Everybody started running. I kept standing. One of the officers who were, like, I can't call him a polling constable because he's a UPDF soldier, came to me and looked at me and said, I am sorry, but these guys are going to smash your car. I was the only person remaining with 2 guys that I come with. As literally seeing polling officials running away. And the guys became the people in charge of the polling center to do whatever they wanted. When I left that polling station, I went to St. Joseph's Church. We have about 17 polling stations. The same group came. Now eventually they picked 3 guys who were standing before me because after chasing away the polling officials, the agents, now these guys, the polling officials, had balls from their aprons and started putting them in. So a guy shouted that you guys are cheating. Said, who said that? Who said that? They came and picked 4 of them, threw them in the van. By the time they came back, the experience. Now I called at the next polling. They would move, it's called a guard. They move from this polling center to this and this. And that is what happened. We've had a situation whereby somebody wins 10 polling stations and you don't see any kind of jubilation because it is not over. You have to go to the district tally center. When to go to the district tally center, you see the returning officer announcing the 4th. And you're surprised.
The person has come forth.
And you're surprised, in the urban Kampala metropolitan, now NRM is dominant. You see, I was telling Farida that what we are seeing here is wrong to start examining it right now. I have been in these elections for long. When Mr. Museveni started elections in 1996, the only place where elections were not rigged was northern Uganda. And the reason why they didn't rig elections in northern Uganda is these guys had had a war for 20 years. That rigging an election would cause mayhem. So that's why you would see FDC coming with 16 MPs, UPC, anybody would win an election. Even if you didn't have money and you're popular, you would win. Now what happened in Buganda and eastern Uganda, they would rig in a way that a common man could not see this rigging. When we went to Ankole, Chigeza, and the Cattle Corridor, what we saw in Buganda this time is what was being done. You are aware that side where somebody is given a vote that is ticked only to put in a ballot paper. One time we were coming with Dr. Besigye from voting. We reached at Sanga, found our agents seated on the road that had been chased away from the polling stations. That has been done. That's why you see people think that NRM is dominant in Western Uganda, which is not the case. Now, after realizing that that can be done and people have no problem, they say now these people at the center of Uganda think they can overrun us. They brought it here. I see it. I watch NTV at 7 and at 9. What I'm seeing in Nansana is what you hear everywhere. This evening I was seated with Honorable Munimama Yoni. The calls that were coming from the constituency, his councillors that are actually won, we are now the ones defeated. So now even the peasant who did not know that there is rigging of an election can now see it. You don't need an analyst. No, you don't need who they call commentators. You don't need any. You just need to be Ugandan. You just need to be sober, even if you're mad. Okay. Even a mad man can see elections in this country are rigged.
You have made a very strong case. What a preamble for the discussion we're going to have. And because you witnessed this yourself, I'm not going to say no because I was not in Nansen and you were there. So this is your word, truly. And this is what you saw. And I'm inclined to believe what you're telling us is what you saw because of the kind of man that I know. Having said that, Ezra, you're a young man. Majority of the people who are going to determine who is supposed to be leading us, or who have determined the leaders who are going to take us for the next 5 years, are young people like you. I understand you are also inclined to the NRM party. What a mess this is.
Thank you very much, Kamara. And thank you for having us here and for allowing the young people to also have a voice on this platform. A general view on the still ongoing elections, because we have the National Female Member of Parliament for the young people being voted tomorrow. I want to first of all congratulate Ugandans upon, those who managed to do their mandate to practice and vote. I think I want to congratulate them. I want to say that, and I mentioned here before the show began, that if there is anyone to worry, it should be the members of the NRM party.
And why is that?
And the young people. I happen to have participated in the NRM primaries, ran as contesting for Western Youth Member of Parliament, and I dropped it there, having come third in the race. Yes, and I want to congratulate again the NRM for having won majority of the MP seats, but also winning the presidential seat. But we have so much to worry because we need to question ourselves, is this sustainable? Is the nature of this election sustainable? I grew up in Chiriandongo district, where I come from, and back in the days, I remember people singing genuinely the NRM, demanding themselves. It was just, it was self-made, that you are indoctrinated and told about the beauty and the hope that the NRM has offered to a country that has been devastated, had been devastated for a long time in civil war and not progressive. Today, it's not the case anymore. People have to be given, to be bribed.
So let me ask you, Ezra, you began by congratulating the MPs and the president, yes. But you're talking about this has come through bravery, intimidation, and all this. So what is the congratulation measured for?
No,
you're congratulating people who are bribed?
Of course.
Because I don't understand now.
We don't have to water down the entire process. There are aspects that are...
So where do you stand?
There are aspects that we must outrightly condemn. But we cannot also say the entire process has been, is no work done. There are areas, area members of parliament that have won their seats genuinely. There are areas, sub-regions and areas in this country that we know that the president won genuinely. So it's not fair to say that the entire process and we water it down. It was no work done. And
so it says, you say you worry for the NRM. What worries you?
What worries me is because increasingly, after every cycle, this is the second cycle of election that I'm participating in as an adult, and I saw some elements of intimidation in 2021 that has exponentially grown in this 2026 election. So I worry about the future of it. I don't know what to expect in 2031. So that explains for me what should worry Ugandans, the young people, and especially the NRM, that I think really, I believe in the NRM. I'm not just inclined to the NRM. I am NRM myself. I believe in it. And the reason I believe in it is because of its fundamental, foundational principles, which over time I don't see them sustainable. And that is what worries me. When we talk about, I've been following the president's campaign, and all of us, the NRM, we preach one of the major output, which is peace. Now, what worries me, Kamara, as you ask, is whether this peace is really sustainable. And in my view, it's not peace unless it's sustainable.
Okay, let me go to you, Mr. Ronald Kwesiga, because for you, you sit at the highest level of the party organ. And so you have some kind of a dashboard that can see across the NRM, all the areas and the villages and the 72,000 villages of NRM. A young person who is a member of the NRM is worried, genuinely worried, is pointing out the ills and the problems that you maybe do intentionally. This party, without the state resources and the chairmanship of Yoweri Museveni, can it really even stand a week?
Thank you, Patrick, and thank you for having me. I think it's the first time I'm coming here since the year began. I wish you a happy new year and bring
Thank you.
warm greetings from the National Resistance Movement. And also, in the same way, wish to thank you for supporting us through the election cycle. I imagine you aligned with us because I saw some yellow seats somewhere in front of me.
But Ronald, every time you're going to see a yellow thing, you think it's NRM. But let me also remind you, this country has a yellow color as a national color.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes. But for now, I use it to my advantage.
But there is no harm, as on this platform, for anybody to express themselves the way they wish, because it's part of our constitution. Yes.
And I take the same opportunity to congratulate all Ugandans out there for having come through the election cycle. I am mindful that it's still ongoing, and we wish them fruitful engagements in the days that are coming. And I wish to congratulate the people of Uganda for having come through this peaceful exercise. Whereas there are some isolated incidents that we cannot ignore, but in general, we had a very peaceful election. We did not have interruption at different levels. We are alive to the fact that investment had slowed and investors were worried about the economic climate that will prevail after the elections. I can confidently affirm that business has started resuming normally and people are getting back to work. And I encourage all Ugandans to get back to work. In light of the election, in general, we had a peaceful election. The few incidents that worry a few people have remedies. I can confidently confirm that those that are aggrieved by the results, we have a mechanism, a judicial system that is able to accommodate their complaints. And today, the Chief Justice resounded the same, that they are ready and set to listen in to all these challenges, all the claims and petitions and all the other grievances that could have arisen out of the entire election cycle. So I'm still confident that the government of Uganda, the National Resistance Movement, will deliver on the mandate that the Ugandans have given them for the next 5 years. For the worries that my brother has, I think it is our turn to take on the mantle responsibly. And these worries can be resolved. So I am far more confident about this coming time.
Mr. Kwesiga, as we speak right now, two senior ranking officers of the National Unity Platform, including the party president, but two vice presidents have been made to disappear. It is said the last time they were seen, members of the security apparatus apprehended them. But the families have not been able to see. I'm talking about Vice President of National Unity Platform, Northern Uganda, Lena Zadrega, and her colleague in Western Uganda. These are ladies, women, taken away from their homes. For weeks, nobody has heard from them, not their family, not their friends. Even the state should be looking for these people. If they are saying they don't have, at least care to find out where is Zadrega.
Well, Patrick,
where is Zadrega, for heaven's sake? A woman whose only job she did was to dare to support a party she chose to in a constitutional way during a timetable that is given for election, and then she disappears.
Patrick,
then how do you congratulate Ugandans when such things are happening? How do you congratulate Ugandans when what we read from senior ranking members of the party, including military officials, on social media, are spewing, words that are of hatred, of hate, yet they sit at the highest level of the military.
Patrick,
how can you say the center is holding, Mr. Kwesiga?
Patrick, my heart and my sympathies go to the families of those senior citizens that are not yet with their families. We take deep concern as a party, but I believe that is the role of the security agencies in this country, and I'm sure they are trying to do whatever they can to ensure that they help these families find their people. I cannot authoritatively comment and say they are here or there. I wish I could, but I know our security agencies are doing whatever they can to ensure that these people are found and brought to their families, and whatever there is resolved.
So as a senior party leader of a party that is in power, Mr. Kwesiga, I wonder what you make of the ping pong of accusations we see between the Honorable Christopher Yomunsi and General Muhoozi Kainerugaba. I mean, it is a party in power. You're supposed to be like on one side, but you're tearing each other apart, washing your dirty linen in public to that extent?
Well, that's a very unfortunate incident, but I believe our leader, General Muhoozi, has a reason why he's responding that way. Yes, he's my leader. I am a member of the Patriotic League. I'm the regional coordinator of the Luweero Triangle. I do not depart from that fact, and he's our leader. We don't deny that. He's the chairman of the Patriotic League of Uganda. He has a reason why he has responded that way. We don't know him for coming after people who really do not attack or go against the interests of the nation. For my senior, Dr. Chris Variomunsi, I think there's been a bit of an overstretch in his responses, and I believe at their level those issues will be resolved.
All right. Okay.
They'll be resolved. As a party, we just take cognizance of them.
Okay. As far as this platform is concerned, let's leave it for the two to tackle it. I hope they will. Only that sometimes reflect because of the position where they sit.
Yes.
Then that's where we get concerned. If it wasn't for the positions that they hold, we wouldn't care. We really wouldn't care. But they hold some offices that are public.
Absolutely.
But Farida Lule, you are Executive Director of Ushahidi Foundation. I can imagine you are the neutral force in this whole exercise, and you have been at a vantage position to look at what is going on. I want your honest assessment of the exercise that we are about to conclude, the electoral cycle of 2026.
Thank you, Patrick, and my colleagues. I'll start with a good, because I really feel bad for this country, and I don't want the voters to give up, that there's still hope that something will be done. I'll start with a good. I want to congratulate the Electoral Commission for having conducted the election as per the roadmap, and for delivering a leader for this country, because I think it would be worse if they had failed to deliver a leader for this country. I would also want to congratulate the country for having facilitated the whole exercise single-handedly without donor funding. I think that is a plus, because I really want us to be independent, and we have to start from somewhere. So this election was entirely funded by the government of Uganda. I also want to congratulate Ugandans who actually, despite all the challenges, intimidation, and the information that was actually going through social media and on TV, they actually turned up to vote. And the 52% is not good enough. It's so disappointing, but at least they tried, and we have registered some turn up, and that is good for our country. Then I also want to congratulate Uganda Police for the first time, that in the history of Uganda, at least we've been yearning to see that the Uganda Police actually manages the election a little bit, even if it's 1 hour. And in this election, they managed this election from 6:30, because I was in the field by 5:30. And by 5:30, I was seeing only Uganda Police. And then at some point, I saw the military, but they were not actually taking the front seat. So up until when we started counting, that is when I saw the military come in, and actually after polling. So, but at least those hours I was observing, how the police could actually manage the
So you're saying the military came in at the most crucial hour?
Exactly, on election day.
Most important hour.
Most important hour. But at least I wanted to see our police managing the election, because we've been yearning for that. So maybe we've learned a lesson, and maybe next time they'll start from the county to see how they can manage the election also. On the other side, I would want also to ask the Electoral Commission to review the process of actually recruiting returning officers, presiding officers, and the whole country should look at how we conduct this exercise. Because you find a district or a region where presiding officers are being actually commanded by even the candidates themselves. They are in control of the election. This person is a candidate, but is telling the presiding officer what to do. And poor Ugandans who are there, they actually do not, they are as if they are not well trained to actually be in charge of their polling stations. It is just a few of them who can actually take no from these politicians, because most of these politicians, you see them during the day, maybe they are putting on white, but during election time, no, they can mess up everything. I would not say NRM, NOP, FDC, most of them will actually try to mess up the whole process if they can, to their advantage. So I want to ask whoever is in charge next time, because now we would be crying to Honorable Norbert Mao, but now we are not sure whether he's going to be the next minister in charge of constitutional affairs. So the person who is going to be in that position after the swearing in May would actually take stock of what has happened, because we have had a lot of challenges in this election, and we need to learn for us to move in a better position, because this election has actually, we have experienced a lot that has never happened before, and there are certain things that have happened, but to this time they were worse.
Okay, you know, you've given a double edge. So let me begin with the good. When you listen to what Farida Lule is saying, she's actually giving kudos on how the Electoral Commission handled this, and how the police, according to her, were professional. She's also were involved, but they were professional. I mean, she's a neutral person, sort of observer, who is telling her story of what he saw. So sometimes you can be in an answer and things are going what, but well, there's more than that. There's also a story coming in from Farida, who is a neutral observer in this whole process. It was like, well, relatively good. How would you respond to Farida's?
No, you see, I want to appreciate the work they do, but I must say they are thin on the ground. Very few. They don't have enough manpower. They cannot even sit at one center for the whole day to see what really happens. They will come, they will see them. You know, I used to stay with my dad. Whenever his big brother would come, would know no punishment will happen those days. But when he leaves, my dad is ticking. Eh? But when Uncle Daddy is here, I can do anything. But the moment Uncle Daddy would leave, say, when your uncle was here, you did this, and pay for it. Nobody, no RDC. I don't know if she's aware that the RDCs and DSOs would come on the polling centers and ask agents to give them their registers. And they would do all the registers. I'm aware she was not anywhere where the beating were. I have been watching NTV Akawunge's, how people were killed. Nobody accounts for that. She's also telling you that this is the worst election she has seen. That was her conclusion. So that packs all the good she talks about. Because you're talking about a product. I have given, let me tell you, this is an election where all the winners paid for their wins.
I mean, you were a contender in this election.
And also a leader of a party.
And a leader of a party. Yes. And I'm sure you voted at some polling station.
Yes, I did. I voted all the 4 times.
Yes, I want to know where you, at your polling station, where you voted from.
At St. Joseph's, Nansana.
So the results that you got, were they deducted after? The results that President Yoweri Museveni got and probably Zambali, were they inflated after? Is that what you saw?
Let me tell you, if
Are you saying on your polling station you won and then somebody changed?
Let me tell you, many people are viewing this show who are there. I know people who won that polling station and they were never declared winners.
I'm asking you because you are a contender on that polling station.
Because you see,
are you telling?
No, I have not started to start looking at one polling station by polling station.
But at least you had, Mr. Kaija,
yes,
you had an interest in this election.
I do.
You had put your energy, your resources, and you voted at your polling station.
For me,
did you lose that?
For me, yes, for me as a person,
you lost at your polling station?
Generally, I lost.
Yes.
Yes, generally I lost. But I'm telling you what happened in the process. I have been in that election for president. I was in election for LC 5. I was in the election for mayor, municipality. I was in the election yesterday for the division. All of the candidates who won at that polling center and were eventually winners were never declared at the what? At the district. Never declared. With the other forms that we are seeing. That's why I told you when I was starting here that they created a situation that after winning and getting DRR forms, no, you will never see anybody celebrating. Like in the past elections, you would just add up here and say you are celebrating.
You see, Kaija, why I'm asking this question is because you are involved in this.
Yes.
It's because you participated in this and you are at a polling station and you lost. Yes, and you said you lost genuinely.
Yeah, for me, I lost.
Yes. But you're very quick to say, the other one never lost. Unfortunately, I don't have him here, but I have you. But I have you, and you lost genuinely.
I lost, but the process was a fraud. And even I go ahead and tell you of what happened afterwards. I want to tell you. These have been covered. Actually, I watch news religiously. Watch news afterwards, I stop watching TV. I go on the internet to see what people are commenting. But I want to tell you, all of the candidates. Now let me give you an example. Nansana won MP. Nope. When it came from municipality,
as mayor,
the MP candidate, the NUP candidate was declared MP, mayor. But all the councillors lost. All the councillors lost. Yesterday, all the division except for, I think, for Pusokuma, where the DP category. But Nansana, where all that mess was happening, NRM has been declared. Naweru, the same thing, and I think going by the time I came here, they're not declared, and that is what they were cooking. And then whoever knows how the pattern, when everybody was actually voting the opposition, and you say, where all the other guys were winning, but these guys were losing. If we can get time, and I appeal to those guys to give their DRR forms that I checked. Say this one won, but now the fourth was declared. You heard what happened in Ichira, where they declared the NRM candidate, who was the fourth. The PFF candidate, the NUP candidate says this guy was behind us. How did he get to number one? You saw what has been happening in Kampala. I've been seeing your cameras because you would say Nansana. Now, if we go and talk about the Metropolitan, you saw guys fainting. Watching here the news, fainting, and I trust NTV. Plus the bill, because now eventually, when they had started playing games at the tele center, because now what they did, when you go to the tele center, they would ask you to only come with one agent. Because in the past, somebody would come with a mob. The mob would scare those guys starting. You say, no, please, now here we can't cheat. Now you come with only one person. The moment you start making a noise, they carry you, throw you out, and they declare who they call the winner. don't you get surprised? Somebody gets 71% of the results, and you do not see anywhere, or even in a bar, people celebrating.
I had an American president tell his American people that I'm going to be so winning so much that you'll even get tired of winning. Ezra, are you guys tired of winning, that there's no celebration? By the way, many people are asking that question, why it is so mute after such a decisive victory that you've had to fight for. In fact, the primaries were even so, gruesome. In some people, even people died. And after getting this, people expected Kadodi on the streets of Kampala. Nothing.
Kamara, I think many people share my opinion, and Farida too shares my opinion. Whereas there is victory, there is a mixture of feeling. There is a mixture of happiness that we don't have a vacuum of a leadership, but we also have fear for the sustainability, the mode of which in which this election was conducted. It is a mixture of so many methodologies. So we have nothing so much to celebrate because we are worried about, personally, I tell you, I participated in the NRM primaries, a party that has been in power for 40 years. The young people's election was postponed. The party chairman had to come and sit throughout the night to ensure he supervises the league, the SEC elections. For me, I think that explains the worries. And you see, Kamara and colleagues and the viewers, why I started on a point of congratulating. Some of the challenges we have, even for the Electoral Commission, I don't think it's fair enough to blame the Electoral Commission alone, because it requires genuine devotion by all the players of this election process, including Parliament, which in most occasions will not, because of the interests, people will pay more attention to their interests as opposed to the future of the country. And for me, I agree with what she says. I told you I come from Chiriandongo. Their NRM is genuinely over 90%. But I can tell you that because of a recruitment process of, for example, presiding officers, people recruit relatives, friends, and they are in charge. In fact, it's not true that maybe in very rare occasions that the presiding officers and so on are afraid, but they have been compromised, and we don't have a system to check that compromise. They are not paying allegiance to the future of this country. My prayer, Kamara and NTV and all players in this process, is that people can come here, and that's why you say, where do you stand? It's not about where I stand. It's about what I feel for the future of this country. I have to give credit where it is due, and critique where there must be criticism. Because I can say, as in Barra the other day, we were voting for the Western Youth Member of Parliament, the one who purportedly won us in the primaries. But when you think about the commercialization, when you think about the intimidation, I have seen security operatives who openly come and say, I am NRM, and they are campaigning. For me, it's not about even what they are saying. It's about the precedent they are creating. I have seen my brother Kwesga here said, judicial officials, yes. How I pray that the chief, the judiciary can take a position to be the savior of this country, because I have seen that it is riskier to trust Parliament, the executive. I think there is a single person, and I think the cost of incompetent governance is really heavy, and I have seen it with President Museveni being everywhere, because most of those who are with him in governance are opportunistic in nature. And it is very unfortunate. And that worries me so much. And for me, I think it is high time. Any young person, and I like it. My brother here said people should go back to the fields and cultivate and work, which I agree to. But we should also appropriate so much time to continue our voter education and involvement of people in their civic rights, so that they can now make valid and decisions that can take this country ahead. Otherwise, we are at the verge of crashing.
Thank you, Ezra. Mr. Kwesiga, in this election, the presidential candidate who came second, even though if you ask him, he would say he never came second, he came first. The presidential candidate who officially came second, was declared second, is in hiding, fearing for his life. His wife claims that security forces forced their way into the house and assaulted them, and she ended up in hospital. Doesn't that take away or dent the legitimacy of the win you're so much proud of?
Well, first, I wish to sympathize with the country at large, because second runner-up first runner-up in an election is has quite a following, quite a number of people that went to the polling stations and voted for them. So I sympathize with them that he's in hiding, but he's away. He says you call it hiding, but whereas it's unfortunate, I am personally not privy to the fact that there is a police case against him. It is him missing, and he makes appearances at different intervals and says they are looking for him, they are this and this. I sympathize with the wife. None of the security agencies has come out openly to own up on that incident. We are alive to the fact that there was deployment outside the compound. The unfortunate bit of it is there is no footage, there is no evidence, no nothing to put out to relay that information. So we shall take the information as relayed by the wife. It's very unfortunate and regrettable that if it happened, really, it's very regrettable. But we are a growing democracy. Some of these things, as they unfold, they teach us a few lessons. And I believe all of us are scholars of history. We have evolved from the elections that we had in 1996 to the one that we have evolved. We have improved. We have improved. The number of people, that participated in the election, the earlier elections, is cannot be compared to the ones of today. Way back, we had about 2-3 candidates coming for the presidential race, and all the others, even those participating in the member of parliament race, and all the others. So we have continuously evolved, and we continue to evolve. So we learn from all these things. We have a duty to reshape the democracy of this country, and above all, plan better, because some of these things that are happening come off as out of the inadequacies in planning. Okay. For example, like she highlighted on the polling agents, and I would pray that they appropriate more money to the Electoral Commission so that these people are enrolled much earlier, not last minute, that they can be able to help in the election exercise. Then the incidents, the post-election situation that usually arises, we need to also learn to plan for it so that we can mitigate instances of candidates disappearing after the elections and all those kind of things.
All right. Very, very briefly, Farida, before we take a quick break, I wonder what you make of the disappearance or staying away of the Honorable Robert Kyagulanyi after the election, and also what Babi Tungo Kyagulanyi said happened to them, whether that does not dent our democracy or even take away the legitimacy of the NRM's win.
it's actually a cause for us to worry about the electoral process in Uganda and who should come up to actually participate. Are you ready for all those incidents, and how do you plan for them? And what is the plan with the government to actually stop those acts? Because if they really want an election, if they really want to have a free process of competition, those instances, they should be the first people to actually come out and say, no, let's handle, maybe some errant officers did this and that. But I think the whole scenario it is a cause for us as a country to worry about the way forward and how we are going to move. For me, the disappearance, actually, I was expecting it, because when I saw how he was manhandled during the campaigns and how the security that was given to him during the campaigns was also disrespected, and they were actually beaten thoroughly, I said, now, if this person after the election stays in this country, then they will definitely come for him. So I think he took the right decision, because everyone wants their life. No one wants to actually be buried before you even raise your children. And if you have an escape route, you can actually just, even if it's us here and something happens, we will be the first people to run out of this stage.
Farida, Ronald, Ezra, and Harold. Gentlemen and lady, we're going to take a break on the spot. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching On the Spot. My name is Patrick Aman. My guest this evening, I have Mr. Ronald Kwesiga, Mr. Harold Kaija, Madam Farida Lule, and Ezra Byakutagaza. Did I get the name right? Yes. Okay. Ezra Byakutagaza. So let me begin with you from the perspective of PFF. You went into this election as a PFF. Yeah. Were you in it to win it, really?
No, we are in it because if you don't feel the presidential candidate, then you're not winning that seat. We went to see that we get a president, put our foot in all other positions.
You're testing the waters?
Especially, not testing, went there for a strategic reason. We wanted to be felt, we wanted to be seen, to be understood, to be appreciated. As you're aware, we're a party that got our license when the electoral process has already started. Actually, we're given a license when the youth election had even started. And then we started running around. So we never even got time to popularize the party. Because I even understand it as me as Nansana, I would go to campaign and people still think I'm FDC. Can you believe that people who don't watch these shows don't even know what is happening here in Nansana? So you start explaining, no, it's not we are PFF, this is our symbol. Oh, what is that PFF? People's Front for Freedom, this is our symbol, who are your leaders? So, you know, instead of that, before you speak about the issue that where you're contesting, you are talking about the party, its colors, its symbol, its slogans, its values, its leaders.
So you have issues as small as brand issues. That brand recognition is absolutely not there.
Yeah, we did not have
people
that.
Do not know you. How can they vote for you?
Yeah, but we put up a campaign, and I must congratulate all our candidates who put up, who went in the field, campaigned, some won, others lost, others were raided. The terrain was really hard for us to maneuver the water, even if we had the most experienced leaders in this country, the best leaders. We have them, everybody appreciates that. So we went to that election, and we have actually, I think by the end of the week, we shall be analyzing and telling the people of Uganda what we are able to get out of this election. But even the marshal of the state, because you see, when you're competing with the NRM, you're not competing with the party. You're competing with the infrastructure of the state. I have told you, the RDCs, the DSOs, who do not appear anywhere in the electoral law, we are managing this election. Another DC comes at the polling center, tells guys, agents, sit there outside. You guys give me your letters. then how do you ask for letters of appointment and RDC? Then you're not supposed to have registers. Bring them.
So those RDCs rig for Zambali, rig for Balimwezo, rig for what?
I do not want to go to discuss that today.
No, okay.
But that is not what I want to discuss. But it has its own issues. Let me tell you, these guys, there is a way.
I just want to know probably whether they select, say, for this one, we shall give them to win, for this one, we shall.
They do.
Okay.
And you know it. They do. Do you know how NRM people voted in Kampala?
Tell us.
When they came on the issue of Lord Mayor?
Tell us.
They actually did not vote the NRM candidate. You know, you see, Mr. Museveni is a dictator who has gone to school.
So if NRM members in Kampala decline to vote for their candidate,
yes,
is that malpractice?
What is malpractice? Not declining, influence to do so.
Not to vote for their member.
You know, for strategically, this is what helps us. They balance it. I want to tell you, there are people who went to that Tale Center, and I know, Kamara, you know this. They tell them you're not on the list of people who must be declared. Even if, you know, people are buying positions. Even if you won, there's a candidate who, after seeing that he had marshaled enough votes, he was asked by those guys at the Tale Center, bring 20 million to be declared MP. The guy said, no, I have enough votes. I have enough votes. I said, okay, fine. The opponent hears that. The opponent pays the money. The opponent is declared. The guy runs for a recount. When he goes for a recount, he's given a recount. When they go to check the boxes, the shoes were broken. So those who won genuinely paid to be declared. Those who failed to pay, their opponents paid and were declared. I know that information is in the newsroom.
I want to believe there was.
You know, I never.
I want to believe there were electoral malpractices.
Yes.
Because some of that was
Yes,
covered. But was that big enough to fundamentally change the result?
Yes, it was big enough. It was big enough. And there was a lot of money in this election. Do you know that PDM money was distributed 2 days to elections? PDM money. Since nothing knows it. PDM money. PDM money. The man has sent you 1 million and say, you think he's a bad guy? This 1 million. Using state money to run an NRM campaign. Do you know that voters were given 10,000 on lines? I know you know that. And you know I never lie.
You received yours?
Can I receive?
You're not a voter?
No, can I receive? I'm not at that level, but they're distributing money. If you make noise and you are arrested.
Okay.
So those who won, as I've told you, those who won had to pay to be declared. Those who didn't pay, their opponents were declared. So we actually are going to almost have like a coin. Whichever side you look at, it is the coin.
Okay, let me come to you, Ezra. Ezra, your candidate, our president now, president-elect and incumbent, has had a run of 40 years, and they've given him another 5 years. I'm one of those very few Ugandans who had an opportunity to sit with him for an hour. And I remember him saying through me and telling the world that when you reach the certain age of 75, that for sure as a human being, you're finished. You know? That is even scientific, that he won't even involve himself for those who want to change the constitution to extend and remove the age limit because it is, you are weak, you are done. He's 81 and is still going. You, as the young cadres of the party, yes, it's a winning formula, but are you beginning to think, okay, all of us are human. After all, at one point he said, you know what, at 75, you're done. Do you take some of the things, do they concern you?
Yes, Kamara, they concern us a lot. No, I don't think I'm the only young Ugandan who is concerned. But the same person also said that, you see, for those of you who are saying I should go, you're not giving me an alternative. Yeah? And he says, you are like wheelbarrows. And over time, that statement has made sense. I told you I ran as under the NRM party for Western Youth Member of Parliament. I remember a delegate from Kasese who met me on the night of the election and said, Ezra, you're the best candidate in this race, but there is this aspect of money that has come. And I'm sorry, but I'm not going to vote for you because I must take this money.
He needs it.
So there is a caliber, there is a DNA that the generation of President Museveni and some of his people, who most of them are gone really, I must imagine he's lonely, who had that exceptional determination to create, to put in place what they believed, to actually put it in place. And I think, whereas I don't want to defend the position of his, because I also know there must be a degree of fatigue, whereas I don't want to defend solely his candidature. But I also think, in my view, in my perspective, I sympathize with him. I think the NRM, there is a generation in the NRM that I think has disappointed us because they have succumbed to being tools as opposed to being leaders, as opposed to giving reason for someone, because President Museveni...
It's your arguments that are actually doing the donkey work.
I want to submit, Kamara. I beg to submit. I want to say that President Museveni must have looked through, and like he says, you're like wheelbarrows, and no one is giving him reason, confidence to protect, like we said in the NRM, protecting the gains. And some of my colleagues in the opposition were asking which gains. And I don't want to dismiss that they are gains. They are gains. So if you cannot, there's no guarantee to protect this and steer this country ahead that these people envisioned and died and sweated for and had sleepless nights for. I think there could be a temptation to hang on, like any other human being.
So, Mr. Kwesiga, when you look at Africa and the precedents that African leaders have set, people who have stayed long at the helm, when they go, things are never good. Whether it was Mugabe, it is Mubarak, whether it is, Mobutu, would it be different from Museveni?
Absolutely, it would be very different. Absolutely, very different. We are a very privileged country. One, we have young people that are vibrant and committed to participate in the leadership of their country. If you look at this previous election that we've just had, the participation of members from the national resistance movement from all walks of life has been very immense. And that gives the highlight of the scores that we got, which clearly shows you that the number of people that are subscribing to the national resistance movement ideology has grown. On the other side, we have the Patriotic League, which had an alliance with the national resistance movement to form Tuko Pamoja. That alone has prepared another generation of people that are willing to take forward this country.
But you see, PLO is headed by a general.
No, we are coming to that.
But you see, PLO is headed by a general who is not supposed to be taking part in partisan politics. And now you're talking about an alliance.
He has not contested.
No.
He has not contested.
No, but that is the ente.
I think
for which
we are working on
a
presumptive theory that he has interests, but he has not contested.
But no, you have just said
he has not.
An entity for which his
no, he
leader
has not. So we had an alliance.
Has been in an alliance.
We had an alliance of Tuko Pamoja, and then it also enhanced the structures of national resistance movements. So the post-Museveni era has young people that have an ideological orientation that can take it forward. In the other states that we have highlighted, we had more or less of a one-man ideology kind of thing, where the parties were so weak, they relied on these people, and these people did not have a plan for their countries.
Which country?
They did not have an absolute plan for their country. So we are privileged that President Museveni, his continued stay in power, his continued stay in power has given us an opportunity to prepare for the days ahead. So I have firm confidence that we cannot in any way slip into a situation of those other countries. That notwithstanding, we are alive to the fact that Uganda has gone through turmoil before. That turmoil has shaped us as a country. We now all have something to lose. Even these people like my senior Harold here, if you tell him to go to the street, he thinks twice. He has something to lose. So that alone shapes this country into an entity that cannot slip into a state of anarchy anymore.
We're all stakeholders in this country. So
absolutely. So now, the fact that we are all stakeholders.
Question. And I hope his colleagues
the fact
have
that
had the question
no.
and they will get answers.
The
answer won't be good today.
The fact that we are all stakeholders in this country does not permit us to have a state of any of those other countries.
We love Uganda. We are rooting for Uganda. Our Uganda is our motherland. We are in Uganda. So our children are here. Our grandchildren will be here. So the thing is, we are jealous regarding Uganda.
We cannot lose it.
Let me go to Farida. You know, I want to believe President Yoweri Museveni, when you look at the other gender, the female, I think he does well. Because, and I'm saying from where I come from, in Kenyoyo, the councillors, those women you see, they seem to be inclined to support President Yoweri Museveni because of how, when they compare in the past where they were and how they are now. Do I have it wrong?
Yeah, at a certain extent, there are people who are really comfortable with the status quo, and they would actually go with what...
I'm not talking about the selected few. When you look at the female, the women in Uganda, and when you look at what the NRM maybe manifesto talks about them and what they plan to do, can one deduce that probably they will be inclined to support President Yoweri Museveni than any other candidate?
Yes, because some of them feel secure when they actually support NRM. And for a woman, I think security of her, the fear of anything happens to her family is actually very, very, yes, exactly. So we would actually bury anything and then we protect our family. So we would actually pretend to support or to go for someone just because you do not want anything to happen to your family. So, but I think even in voter registration, we have the highest number of voters in this country are women. And also when you go to all the polling stations in this country, the women are more than men. And I think the president seemed to appeal more to the women and emphasize and sympathize with women. And you see in most of his speech, he will not actually leave a speech without actually maybe calling a woman in the crowd or speaking to a woman in the crowd. So I think maybe it is his strategy. But there are some people who are actually coming up to, when you see the same president not actually paying attention to the likes of Rina Zidrika, who have actually been arrested, and and then also when we see what happens to the wife of the new president, we actually, some of us think twice, and then we're like, no, I think this cannot happen to a woman. And the president just keeps quiet. At least you can come up as a leader and condemn whatever happened. You know, if what she's saying is true, but we have also seen some ugly incidents where women have been mismanaged and the president is quiet. So I really want to see those other women that support him wholeheartedly to actually also peep the other side and say, no, at least if, yeah, we know we give you our support, but at least you cannot disrespect women in this manner. Your officers cannot disrespect women in this manner. So you can see some of us so keen, but very skeptical and when you try to put up a statement, you have to think twice. Okay. One, you would know if this statement that I'm going to actually speak, what is going to be the repercussion, and then you weigh in, and then you settle for one that actually will settle the country, and you feel comfortable that way.
All right. Thank you very much. Our time is out. I'm going to give each one of you a minute to give us your concluding remarks. Let me begin with you, Mr. Harud Kaija.
No, you see, you asked about why you talked about women in Chenjojo voting for the NRM. But you see, we have a poverty map.
That's the perception I got.
Yes.
I could be wrong, but the perception I got that they're more inclined to support President Museveni than other candidates.
We have a poverty map.
It could be a wrong perception, but that's what I got.
At the EPRC in Makerere, there is a correlation between areas where people are too poor and the support of the NRM. I was asking myself why. Those people have no access to information. Those people are part of the 40% Mutebiri was talking about who spend a month without touching a shilling.
And for that matter,
when you bring 2,000 shilling new notes, they will come and line up. But you see, you're not talking about the number of people. If we are even to agree that these statistics are right, 48% of Ugandans didn't vote.
That's true.
Eh? You think they were sick? The polling sections were far. They have no trust in the polling process. Others went to vote because somebody paid them. They say, if you give me money, I'll come and vote. If you don't, he has told you, your colleague said...
So is it your opinion that if they had voted, they would have voted otherwise?
Yes, but they believe their vote does not count.
Because even President Museveni says, even the president said, you survived because most of our voters never turned up.
No,
if they had turned up.
His voters came. But you see, we are hiding our heads in the sand. This country is not going in the right way. This country needs, you see, when I started seeing musicians being busy in this conference center, I started going for this country. When this conference center was constructed by the person who they call buffoon, whatever, Idi Amin, it was to speak about issues, that serious issues. But whenever I hear something at the conference center, I see musicians. How DRC, that is how DRC went where it is up to now.
Is that a challenge to the Honorable Robert Chagulanyi? He's a musician, and he's a good leader.
Let me tell you.
So why are you attacking musicians?
No, I'm talking about this conference center. We must be talking about serious issues in the conference center. But what is happening in our conference center?
So musicians are not serious?
No, let me tell you, that's having fun. This country must be mourning. I want to tell you. That's why after watching the news, I switch off the TV. Because those are others not serious.
I just want to know what is the issue you have against musicians?
No, I'm not having any issue with musicians.
Okay, put it right.
This international conference center, was constructed to discuss serious issues. Would this country where we are going, Ronald thinks it is okay. But when you speak about those bigger than him who are in NRM, they see the trajectory. We must be sitting to discuss the future of this country. This is the country, since inception, we've never had one leader handing over power to another. And for you to say, no, we are preparing for what? We are preparing that if this one dies, another one comes. You can't define it.
All right.
A country cannot survive this kind of situation. For me, I beg whoever is interested in this country must speak to Mr. Museveni. The future of this country is in his hands. he can decide to give the best thing to this country, not development or not any other thing, to sit and say, how do we move from Mr. Museveni to another era? If we don't sit and decide that, you will see mayhem here.
Ezra, your parting shot.
Thank you very much, Kamara. I ask myself sometimes, were we ready for a multi-party system? Maybe that's a question.
We are.
I don't know. But looking at how the terrain, the political terrain, but also the internal politics in the political parties, I worry whether, I have questions whether we are actually ready for a multi-party system. It's a post-election period. I think, especially to the members of the NRM, they should be reconciliatory instead of, like you are saying, tearing apart the population. This election, as should be, there are losers and there are winners. But it is even worse where we have majority people feeling like they did not lose genuinely, both in the internal processes of the NRM, for example, my party, but also in the general elections. And some of these, even us in the NRM, attest to the truth that there were elements of malpractice, there were elements that do not define a democratic process.
All right.
So I think largely the country should concentrate on one, alternative reconciliatory measures that could be available, but those who won, the NRM majority that is in power now and will take on extension of power in May, should appeal to the population to reconcile other than worsen the wound by putting sharp words.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ezra. Ronald Kwesiga, your parting shot.
First and foremost, I would like to remind my brother, my senior Harold, that he's not an angel to say that one person dies, then another one comes. No, you don't have guarantees over those things. But my parting remarks, one, I wish to extend my appreciation to all Ugandans for having participated in the election, and above all, the Electoral Commission and the cadres of the National Resistance Movement that played a fundamental role in delivering this victory of the National Resistance Movement. We remain committed to honoring the mandate of the Ugandan people, and we shall carry forward the same. I urge Ugandans to get back to work and start planning for 2031. The challenges that we have highlighted in the journey of 2025, 2026, let's work towards resolving them through our members of parliament, the leaders that we have elected, and all of us begin a journey of resolving those discrepancies, because this country is for us all, and whereas no one has guarantees or absolute ownership over it, it's a journey that we must partake jointly to resolve these issues. And to our youth, we are alive to the challenges. Let's get back and build our party and our country. And I wish the members of the NRM happy celebrations, because it's time for us to celebrate and enjoy this victory. To the nation at large, happy Tarehe Sita, and those that will be traveling to Chigezi sub-region, we will see you there tomorrow.
All right, thank you very much, Ronald. And Farida, your parting shot.
Thank you, Patrick and NTV. I feel that maybe if the election has ended, maybe our colleague here will go and speak on behalf of NTV, and then NTV is allowed back to operate normally, because I think it actually pains me a lot to see, because I'm a journalist and I know what it means. So I think you feel bad when you are not allowed to cover some other functions. So maybe he can carry the burden to go and plead for NTV to actually be allowed to cover.
Yes, after all, the storm is over.
Exactly. So, but I want to speak about the political will. You know, before we saw the president speak about that his votes were cheated, and he came up with that solution of the biometric. I know that it was his idea, that this biometric will actually help these people who cheat during elections, and I think it will solve the issue of irregularities.
All right.
And also we have to look at if he comes on board and actually believes that we can have a better election, and it comes from him, maybe we can see most of these things go under carpet. We want to see an independent electoral commission. We have seen everyone actually pulling the electoral commission. We want to see the whole process of selecting the commissioners and the chairperson change. If the president can actually go that side, I think we can begin trusting the commission as a country. But you know, because people don't trust the commission, that's why everyone is pulling the commission at the different sizes. We want to see voter turnout. This should also worry us because it has gone down and it's going down and it's going down. What could be the solution to our voter turnout? Do you want to spend all those monies, all those trillions, and then we register 52%? I think it should be a cause for action, both from Parliament and also the
All
rest.
right. Thank you very much. Farida Lulei, Executive Director, Ushahidi Foundation, Uganda. Thank you very much, Mr. Ronald Kwesiga, National Publicity Secretary, NRM Entrepreneurs League. Thank you, Mr. Harold Kaija, Deputy Secretary General, PFF. And also we have Ezra Byakutagaza, who was an aspirant who aspired to lead the youth as a member of parliament for Western Uganda. Unfortunately, it didn't go like you had wanted, but there's always another opportunity, maybe not as a youth, but maybe some constituents in Ikiriandongo there. You never know. Gentlemen and lady, I want to thank you so much for your submission. You speak with a lot of passion about the viewpoints that you have, which is good, and that is called debate, and we thank God we can be able to exchange views here. And for you, whenever you see people here maybe disagreeing, it's not that they hate each other. I want to believe it's because they love Uganda more. Good night. God bless Uganda.